One. What's up? Jarren Blair, good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
I really appreciate you taking time to hang out with me for a second.
Yeah, no
How
problem.
I've known about you, and we've I guess since maybe a little bit before Freeze Fest 4.
Yeah, I met you like 2 years ago at the East Room because
Yes.
I went to that. It was like you, Rocky, and I think Hank Compton playing or something. That was like
Mm-hmm.
my first introduction to the show because I had a gig and I had just started playing with JP Burr and Sam Killian in my band, and
Cool.
I was looking for a bass player because Jack was out of town, and they
Yeah.
told me
Right.
about Rocky, so I pulled up to that show.
Whoa. Did y'all ever get to play music together?
Yeah, it was like we played at where was it? What's it called? It's this place in Franklin that JP plays at all the
Oh,
time.
Kimbro's.
Yeah, Kimbro's. Yeah.
JP's always putting on stuff at Kimbro's.
Yeah. That's his spot for
Yeah.
sure.
Have you? So I don't know a lot about your backstory. Are you from this area originally, or did you move here?
I moved here when I was like 9. So my dad's in the military,
Whoa.
so I moved around like a couple times when I was a kid. I'm originally from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I
Cool.
lived
Yeah.
in Georgia for a little bit, and then we moved here.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And you moved here when you were 9. Did you go
Yeah.
to MTSU, or how did you get involved with with those guys you're talking about?
So I've actually met them before I went to MTSU just on the internet. So I think I was following Sam for a while just because I saw his drumming videos or something like that. So when I graduated high school, originally I was going to go to Austin P because my sister went there and it would have been like cheaper just because I think they do the like state, what's it called? The state
Right. In
scholarship or
state or
whatever.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
so I was originally gonna go there, but then I found out like when I was registering that they didn't have like a music business program. It was just like, classical music and stuff. So I decided to take a semester off. And then I reached out to Sam because he was talking about like recording and doing mixing and stuff. And then I made a bunch of videos with them. So
Cool.
after that, then I went to MTSU and kind of became homies there.
Yeah. Right
Yeah.
on. Are you still at MTSU?
No, I'm not. I'm not at MTSU. I switched out of there like, let me think. I guess a year and a half now. It was like between the semesters. I like transferred to a community college back home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Wait, back home meaning like
At Hendersonville. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh no, cool. Oh, so you're in Hendersonville.
Yeah.
Cool. Are we coming from like live from like the
Yeah.
bedroom you grew up in?
This is my room, yes. This is like high school. I'm trying to think. Maybe like end of middle school, high school to now room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's cool. I'm talking to you from my bedroom. Like I live with my family
Yeah.
kind of towards
Sick.
Nolensville, and like this
Okay.
wall is all white, but the wall right there is like bright orange. Like it's
Oh,
like an
sick.
orange and white
Yes.
like University of Tennessee like football shrine.
Yeah.
It's like my bedroom.
That's crazy. When
Yeah.
we because we lived in an apartment when we moved here originally. And my parents, when they moved us here, it was like a big surprise. So we had like no idea. They surprised us when we came over here. My parents actually told me like that we were going to this producer's house or something to meet them because I was like doing music stuff. And then so we packed up everything, or it was just they already had our stuff here, but my parents got me and my sisters in the car, and then we just drove over here and they were like, "Oh, this is your house and this is your
Yeah.
room." Because orange is my favorite color. So they asked me before like if I had a room, what would I want to paint it? And I said orange, but I wasn't even thinking about moving out anytime soon. So it's cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
I
it's
noticed
crazy.
what is the poster in the background? That might be something everybody
Yeah.
knows but me, but
It's the Spider-Man movie, Into the Spider-Verse, the
oh,
like
word. Yeah,
animated
I've
one.
seen that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a really cool movie actually. I watched it with my
Yeah.
family like I think on Christmas Day.
Yeah. The
Um
animation is just insane.
it is insane.
Crazy.
I guess I was wondering that poster kind of looks a little bit similar to your Space Jam album cover, but maybe that's
Oh,
just
it
a
kind of does. I didn't
coincidence.
even think about that. That's funny.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
maybe that was what you were referencing, but your song came out
No.
before this movie,
Um,
I
yeah, I'm
think,
not even
right?
sure because I took that picture with Linda Carrot, I think. Is it Linda or Lisa? I can't remember.
I know who you're
Um,
talking about. Yeah.
yeah. Her like Instagram name confuses me because I think it's different than her real name.
Yeah, right.
But what was I about to say? So we
That's
took we I don't want to be like rude and say it wrong or whatever. Uh, but we took those pictures. We took pictures for that, and then I sent the picture to this artist I found on Instagram. But it's just a picture of me like jumping off of a bench with a basketball, and she was like under me taking the picture, and it came out really cool.
whoa.
Yeah,
That is really cool.
yeah, it was
So
fun.
that's your first single that's out like on Spotify and stuff. You've
Yeah,
got two songs up for on like digital streaming. That and then
yes,
your newer song, "Lead Me On," which came out at the beginning of this year.
yeah. So I had some music out that I released in high school before, but then I was like, this isn't it. So I took it down and like right before I put out Space Jam, because Space Jam was the first song that I was playing at when I was playing it live. I was consistently getting people being like, "Yo, when's that song coming out? Like that song's
Yeah,
dope." So that's when I was
it is
like,
dope.
"Okay, this might be the one to kind of be like new me."
Yeah, right. That's cool. I've talked about this a little bit in other episodes on this.
Mm,
It's funny. It's kind of been like a reoccurring topic because I feel like all of us who are artists who feel like we're out there, but we also feel like maybe we could like rebrand and be like, this
yeah.
is the beginning. Like I part of me, I'm always like, maybe I should take down my last two albums, be like, oh, Wisteria is my first single. Or even like
Got
all
you.
the singles
Yeah.
I have out now. Sometimes I'm like, man, scrap all that. Like, let's start fresh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me it felt a little different because I recorded all those things in high school like entirely by myself. Like
Yeah.
I mixed them even though I didn't really like know any of the rules or whatever for that.
Right.
So and they were kind of just sitting there and no one was really listening to them. I had like a couple of friends who would listen to it and be like, "Oh, it's so dope." But like anytime I was playing out, I wasn't playing those songs anymore because I was
Hmm.
forming this new like group of guys that I was playing with. I was writing different types of music, and it was like I released them so long ago that it just didn't feel like worth it. But like I wouldn't take Space Jam down in like 2 years, or
Yeah.
something
Right.
like that. But I mean, like I would leave your albums up because Good Time. When I remember when I heard Good Time the first time, it hit my heart.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
if you
awesome.
I don't know. Do you still like those songs, or is it just like the recordings that you don't like?
That's a good question actually. And I
Yeah.
really am not sure. I think it changes. Sometimes I just don't want to listen to any of it. Sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe I'm proud of it, whether it is
Yeah.
the production or the songwriting. I try to just come to terms with like that's where I was and
At the time.
and if people like it then that's great and if they
Yeah.
don't they can hopefully see how I've changed and you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like they
Yeah.
can interpret it on their own, I guess. But
Yeah. I don't think it hurts you to have it up there. I feel like for me it was just very different because
hmm
like when you start, because when did you put those albums out? I mean, you had people helping you and it was kind of like the album art is still cool. It was like
cool, yeah.
I took the album art picture on my iPhone. It was stuff like that where it was just like I just wanted to put music out and be heard so bad that I was like I wasn't patient with it. I just kind of wanted to put something out. And I was
Yeah.
because in high school I was like a workaholic with music, just recording all the time. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I was just recording like
Right.
in my house. Like I wouldn't, just chill when I was at home. So it's just like I just wanted to be heard so bad. I just had to put something out. But
Yeah, right. I mean, looking back, do you think you were like, are you glad that you put that out? Do you think it helped you like establish yourself as an artist to where you could like use that momentum and that, tell your story and kind of like move beyond
yeah.
it? You know what I mean?
Um I'm not sure if it solidified solidified anything or made people like look at me differently or officially or anything like that. I think it helped just to have something when I was performing because I was performing a lot so in high school I didn't really know a lot of people my age in Nashville doing music. So I was playing a lot of the songwriter scene, like doing writers rounds and stuff like that. So it
Right.
was nice to have something to sell because it was just like, oh, here's 5 songs that I just played, or like I
hmm
was playing another song, but here's a thing you can, have. So I sold a lot of those CDs. I think that's what helped the most. It was just some money I could make. But in terms
Yeah.
of making an artistic statement. I don't really think it was that at the time.
Yeah, I definitely relate to like playing. Like I remember playing like songwriter rounds and stuff, and I thought that
Mhm.
was just like what you had to do. Like
Yeah,
growing up in Nashville, that
yeah,
was just
dude.
kind of like the vibe, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, because when did you start playing?
I started playing when I was like, I think a sophomore in high
Okay,
school. So
yeah,
whatever year that was, maybe like 2012, 2013. And
gotcha.
and yeah, like
Yeah,
I don't know, like
yeah.
I
I
got
think I
offered to do
started.
stuff like that, and I was like, I guess this is what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I started playing writers rounds and open mics probably like the same year,
Yeah.
2012. Cause
Wow.
yeah, because I was like begging. I was begging my parents to like give me a gig. I was like, I need to perform somewhere. 'Cause it was
Yeah.
just like, just itching to go. It was crazy. But yeah,
Yeah.
I played my first open mic at like I forget what it's called. The Maybe called the Row or something. It's some restaurant or something down.
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
know what
The
I'm talking
row. I
about.
think yeah.
Yeah, I played my first open mic down there, and like I've kind of looked the same in the face since I was 13. So after I performed, the guy was like, "Oh, like let's book him for a gig." He was talking to my dad, and then my dad was like, "He's like 13," and then he was like, "Oh, maybe maybe wait until later." So it was just like I was this kid. I didn't know anybody else doing it my age, but I was just trying to, play all these writers rounds or whatever.
Yeah. Right. I was the same way. I didn't
Yeah,
know like I didn't know about like a scene or anything. Like I definitely
yeah,
didn't feel like I had like a community. It was just me, and then eventually like a couple of my friends in
yeah,
middle school who were or like high school who were like, yeah, we'll form a band. And then we kind of had to venture
yeah.
towards like Franklin or towards downtown and found like different pockets where there were other like
Mhm.
people. So when did you meet? When did you say you met like JP and Sam Killian?
Probably 2017, like the
Oh, okay.
summer, or maybe like yeah, the summer of 2017.
So there was a long amount of time where you were like playing writers on stuff, or did you wind up like
Yeah.
when did you wind up finding like other
Well,
bands or like a community?
so actually, I did meet some people in high school when I went to this thing called Grammy Camp. So the Grammy
Yeah, yeah,
Foundation,
yeah.
yeah, the Grammy Foundation does this camp where they. So I went to the one in Nashville in New York, but I went to the one in Nashville the most. So it's like it was basically they sent in someone from the Grammy Foundation, and then they had the Belmont teachers basically teach us in a week, give us like a crash course of what the music business was like. So I met a
Cool.
lot of musicians there. I actually met Connor Broom there, like, and I was a freshman in
Whoa.
high school at the time. So he actually, it's funny because he lived in Hendersonville, but like,
Oh yeah, right. The
yeah, but we
broomsticks are like
weren't.
from Hendersonville.
Yeah, but I didn't have much of an idea of who they were or what was going on. So it's funny to think about that actually because I did know some people, but I just wasn't in a scene because the gigs I was playing, it was all writers rounds or like some festivals I would do downtown. I did what's it called? They do one at Centennial Park. What's it called?
Mm,
Musicians Corner. I played that one. So
no
like
way.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
I did the like acoustic stage thing. So I was
Yeah, the
doing
side stage.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was doing stuff like that, but I didn't really have a community. And the first person that I started playing, like having a band with, was Keaton Williamson. He plays bass. I think you might know him.
Yes, yes. I've met Keaton.
Yeah, we did gigs at. I played at Opry Mills Mall too. So he was the first
Wow.
person I played a show with. Because my parents were also kind of like, they knew I wanted to be like a solo artist and do my own thing. So they were kind of like cautious about me being super into jumping into a band or something like that before I really kind of laid a foundation for myself.
Yeah.
So, but Keaton was like the first person that I started playing out with.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. And playing
Yeah.
out down there, that's so I guess like when was the time or was it just a slow transition into like finding your own sound and realizing like
Mhm.
maybe you wanted to play different types of shows and
Yeah.
going into a scene, or was that just like college, or I don't
I
know?
think so when I formed the my band was called the Groove Crew at the time.
Cool.
So when I made when I made those videos, they're still up on my YouTube. It was with Sam, JP, and then Jack Filipovic, and I met him at Grammy Camp. So it
Cool.
was kind of like, so I built this band together or whatever. So we had one rehearsal, at my house, and then we went to JP's grandparents' house and recorded all these videos. And then I was like, okay, this is something I'm going to put out. This is like new content or whatever, because I was taking my semester off of school. So I was like, okay, what can I give myself a little project to make or whatever.
Right.
So that was kind of the new sound I was going for at the time. So while I was at MTSU, when I finally went there, like the semester after, I was writing a ton. Like I would go in the practice rooms and just write for hours trying to get like the groovy songs or whatever. And that was kind of the sound I was going for. But then after a while, we finally started recording at the studios. There was like some people that were doing the audio engineer degrees or whatever and wanted to
Yeah.
record. It was actually after I played at Freeze Fest. I guess it was the fourth one.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a girl there. Her name is Val. She went to MTSU and she was like, I want to record you guys. And I was like, yes. So after I got
awesome.
after I got those recordings back and I was listening to them, I was like, this is not what I want to sound like. So I kind of just took back and stopped recording with the band and just started recording in my house. It was summer of 2018. And that's when I started recording Lead Me On and Space Jam. And then I found my thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
So those, wait, and you're saying those were recorded at home?
Yeah, I record here in my basement.
Cool. No way. Yeah. What do you use Logic?
Yeah, I use Logic.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah. They sound so good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, so one question I have, like going towards like your music you're making nowadays, is that I'm really interested. I think you have one of the most like fresh approaches to social media of anyone I know.
Oh wow. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, for real. And what I've been thinking about a lot lately, especially like post Cosmic House, which I put out in like 2017, just like kind of rethinking what it means to be an artist nowadays, and how do you like speak the language of like our time and not just do things that are like classic musician ideas, but like keep things fresh, even if that means changing it, like, I don't know, in fundamental ways. And you know, so I've kind of taken that approach with just putting out singles, as a lot of people are. And I don't even really have like an album mindset lately. I just try to put out music. But what I think you do, which takes it another step, is that you like have like a live like journal of just like songs and and like voice memos and like notes, just like poems and stuff that you're just like putting out there. I think that's so cool.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's like, I'm trying to think. For me, I started looking at social media less as a brand and just more like I treat my main account. I tweeted this the other day. Like I treat my main account like it's my spam account and I just post whatever I want.
You do, yeah.
Like sometimes I think for me as an artist, I just get this crazy urge to share something. Like if I just write something and I think it's really cool in the moment, I just might want to share it, and it might not have a recording done yet or anything like that, but I just want to put it out there. And plus it's just content to document what you're doing.
Right.
It's just like doing a podcast like you are, just talking to people. You know, I just kind of felt the urge to share something. If anyone wants, like for my writing page or whatever, Jarren writes, if anyone wants to look at just stuff I'm working on, they can kind of hop over there. But with the album thing you were talking about, like, it's funny because I'm working on an album, and it's this batch of songs that I've been playing live, and some that I haven't played live a lot. But it's basically this batch of songs that I'm about to put out after I get them mixed and everything, all the visual stuff. But I'm kind of in my head, I'm looking at it as an album, but I'm gonna release them as singles just because it is so much easier to get people to listen to one song than it is to get them to listen to an album. At least at the point I'm at right now. I think maybe I'll put out a bunch of the songs, and then it's mainly because I only have 2 songs out, right? Like, I don't have a catalog for you to look at. So dropping an album is kind of like, it's asking a lot of a listener than, you know, just one song on when your one song comes out on Friday.
Yeah, right. It's a big commitment for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying, I think you can ride off of your song for a long time. I think a lot of people promote their song for like the day if they promote their song for like a month or a couple of weeks, and then it comes out, and then after kind of the hype dies down, they stop promoting it. But like there's people that live off their album or their song for like the whole year. They at least,
Wow.
that's what huge artists do. So it's
Yeah.
just kind of funny looking at independent artists, and we don't think of that way. We're just like, my song, like I put that out a couple months ago. No one wants to hear me talk about it, but like I've been talking about Space Jam for over a year now, and it's just
Right.
like, like I
Wow, that's
just
so
dropped the merch or
true,
whatever.
dude.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I think that
songs
wow,
have
I think
legs.
that's a really great point. And
Yeah,
you
and you
know,
do that too with your like merch and stuff. You can still sell Freeze Fest merch, and it just
yeah.
kills.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. I'm doing this like pay what you want thing that I just because
Yeah.
I have all this merch left over and I was like, I need to get rid of this. Like it's just
Mhm.
collecting dust. And if somebody would rather have it than me, just
Yeah,
have it sit in my basement, then that's a win.
for
And then I
sure.
thought pay what you want would be cool because it's just such a tough time that like and it's worked even like it worked exactly how I thought. Like some people are
Yeah.
being very generous and donating a lot. Some people are like, I can do $3, and it's like, sweet, that's fine.
It's
Like
30 cents.
yeah, like can then just consider it a gift. Like I'll just send it to you
Yeah.
for free, like whatever. And but yeah, you're right. Like you can keep riding the wave longer, and I kind of
Mhm.
forget that too. Like especially through like playlists, and you can even like make
Yeah.
like a music video or like whatever it is. Just like
Exactly.
keep talking
Yeah.
about it. Like people we so quickly are ready to move on as an artist,
Mhm.
but we forget that like people still, I mean, all
Yeah.
of my favorite, and when I really dig an album, it doesn't matter. Like there's albums I've heard by a band, like Mac DeMarco or something, that's like three
Yeah.
albums ago and it still feels fresh to me. And he,
Yeah.
I still want to hear him talk about it. And I still want to
Yeah.
like, I would watch a music video if it came out today. You know what I
For
mean?
sure. Like I'm sure there's people, because you were on that tour right before Corona. I'm sure there's people that saw you on that tour that just followed you that haven't heard, your old albums because you haven't talked about it.
That's true. Right.
So it's
Right.
like there's still people that haven't heard what you've already done because they're new to the game. So
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
that's another great point. There's people are hopping on the ship like all the time.
Yeah.
So there's they, I've actually I read an interesting music marketing thing recently that said like don't be afraid to like over explain yourself and like introduce yourself too often on like social media because they were like psychologically the people who already know that about you will just feel like um, they will feel value in already knowing that to be like, oh, I already knew that about that person because
Yeah.
we're so tight. And the other people, like a large portion of who follow you, will be like, wow, I actually didn't know that. We
Yeah.
just assume people know our whole story or that they know like
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
about who we are and our brand and our music and everything. And it's like that's totally not true.
Yeah. I try to I also try to assume that nobody really knows because especially with I feel like I'm most active on Instagram and that's where I talk to people the most. Like with the algorithm on there, sometimes only 20% of the people that follow me see anything that I post. So like if I post something that goes crazy, like more people see it, then it's like, oh, you probably haven't seen the last 10 things that I've talked about. So there's just
Right.
like, yeah, so I could, so like that's why I was saying when you can talk about the same thing over and over again, there's probably still somebody that follows me that hasn't heard Space Jam. Like
Right.
in
Yeah.
my head, that's how I try to think about it.
That's also true. Like,
Yeah.
also that brings up another point of just like sometimes I'm like, man, maybe I should literally just like have my like the fact that you can now
Mhm.
like put the song on your story through like
Yeah.
Spotify and stuff. I feel like there's
All the
probably so
time.
many
It's
people
like,
who just haven't heard it yet. They're just
yeah.
like, yeah, like I know Jarren, I know Freeze, like, but I
Mhm.
haven't like, and they might have even like gone to a show, but they've just never pressed play on Spotify.
Yeah.
And then they do, and they're like, oh, this is actually sick. Like, I would put
Yeah.
this on my playlist or whatever.
Facts. Yes.
Yeah, that's I think that your whole Instagram, like what you do and what you post like you said, it's kind of like a Finsta or something,
Yeah.
or like a meme page. You just post like 10 things and you can swipe through. It's like a collection of
Yeah.
what Jaren's been like tweeting and thinking about. I love it, man. I feel like it's like the
Thanks.
coolest, most exciting. Everything you post is incredibly exciting to me.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's fun.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Do you just feel like when you're like, I guess in terms of making an album, but then also like posting like
Mhm.
pieces and like little snippets, is that just kind of how you feel like it connects with people while you're hanging back working on this like bigger project? Do those two things
Yeah,
go together?
I think so. With the songs that are gonna be the songs that are in the proverbial album, right? Um, so I actually took down some of the things that I posted on my like highlights or whatever of clips of those songs because
Hmm.
like I'm getting closer to them being out. Uh, so I took down a lot of the stuff that is gonna be on the project, but I'm posting a lot of other things that I'm working on. So wait, what was the question?
Yeah, I guess my question was, I feel like, because I
Oh,
feel like
people
you have,
connecting to it.
yeah, you have like this like
Um,
online journal, but then you also say you're working on an album, so it seems like you're
yeah,
almost like giving stuff to people while working on a different thing.
yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. So like, what was I about to say? So when I was recording Space Jam, probably like so summer of 2018, I had my camera and I would record myself while I was recording the song, and I would post those clips. Uh, and that kind of got people excited about hearing the song too, even though it came out a year later. Then I could post those when I put out the song. I was like reposting those videos, like this is me putting the vocals down for this or whatever. So I kind of liked that aspect of it. But like recently, just the process of recording, like while recording myself with video, like while I'm recording, has just been a lot. Just because the recording process has been so long and there's so many layers and stuff. I didn't do that this time, so on Twitter, I've been like tweeting about the progress of the album and like, because the album isn't exactly what it was gonna be in the beginning. Like, there's a lot of songs that didn't make it or whatever that I tweeted about. I was like, oh, I'm gonna rap on one song, but then I was like, I don't want to do this. This song isn't gonna work. So it's just kind of like taking people along with what I'm doing, even though it's not, all put together yet, but just people
Yeah.
seeing,
That's
what's going on.
interesting. I
Yeah.
feel like there would be people if you went to Atlantic Records and talked
Mhm.
about and I showed them what you're doing, they might be like, this
What are
is
you doing?
yeah, they'd be like, this is dangerous, this is crazy. Like, but I feel like you're right. Like I would agree with you. I
Mhm.
think that I get more excited about music when I get to hear little snippets or when I hear a leak or maybe I've heard a
Mhm.
song live and it's not out yet. Like I
Yeah.
like knowing a little bit about what I'm going to
Mhm.
experience. And a lot of, if an album was just cold dropped to me and I didn't know anything about it, it's going to be harder for me to even
Yeah.
like start listening to it because I'm gonna be like, whoa, whole new
Yeah,
album
it's a
by this
lot.
person. Like, and I don't know anything about like
Yeah.
any of it. But if I was like, yeah, oh man, I've been looking forward to a couple of these
Yeah.
songs, or like I remember when Jarren posted this clip, like that's definitely going to
Yeah.
make me more excited about it,
For sure.
right?
Like, because that's what I experienced when I put out Space Jam. Because like everyone, there were people literally texting me, "Are you recording the song? When is that song coming out?" So when I released it,
Yeah,
it was like the hugest thing that had ever happened with me. And
right.
like musically, it was the first time people were sharing my song and telling me how much they loved it and all that kind of stuff. So it was just crazy that because I was playing this song live and I was creating a real connection with it, and then to put it out.
Whoa,
But
yeah,
with the second
right.
song I put out, "Lead Me On," right? So that
Hmm.
song I started recording that song before I started recording Space Jam, and when I recorded that song, that's how I found my sound, like the process of what I need to do to get kind of the sound I wanted. Keaton Williamson actually helped me record on that a little bit. He brought his Moog over so I could do like bass parts and stuff. So that
Oh,
was super dope.
cool.
Yeah, so that's why the bass sounds cool on that song.
It does,
But
dude. It really
thanks,
does.
thanks. uh, but yeah, like when I recorded that song, it's one of those songs it's kind of hard to sing live because it's really carried by all the vocal parts on it and all that kind of stuff. And every time I was playing it live, it wasn't really resonating with like the rest of my set, which is super like crowd involved. Like I get people to sing along and do like the backup parts, but it just wasn't clicking when I was doing it live. So I kind of pulled it back from the set. So when I put it out, no one really knew the song. So like there's some people that enjoy it, which is dope. And I love that song because it was super important for like my artistic journey, but no one really knew the song, so they weren't connected to it at the same level. So
Yeah, right.
yeah.
You know, that I've just had a breakthrough. I'm talking to you right now about this, which is
Really.
that, like, the whole okay. So, like, Wisteria is my most popular song,
Mhm.
and I think the reason that,
Ah!
yes, Jaron knows.
Yes.
I think that I think the reason it's the most popular or gets the most streams
Mhm.
is because it was my first song I put out in like 2.5 years,
Mhm.
and so everyone listened to it because it was like, oh, new Freeze song. I haven't heard that in a long time,
Yeah.
and so it had just enough of an extra push to where it like the algorithms or whatever boosted it. It got put on Discover Weekly, and that's where it still is every week.
Yeah.
Every Monday, it gets like a bunch of
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
streams.
Same. Same. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So,
Yeah.
but the reason, so then when I put out the next single, I thought, oh, well, this song's even better, or I'm like, this is
Mhm.
gonna do even better. But I haven't been able to get another song be as successful, just in terms of these like,
Yeah. Like
streaming
the numbers or
metrics,
whatever.
the
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah.
So what I realized was, I think that's because no matter what I do, like it's gonna be really hard to replicate that like 2.5 year break
Yeah.
of getting new people to listen to it. But those algorithms are built off of people listening to your music at
Like the
the
first few
initial,
drops or whatever.
yeah, first day or
Yeah.
first week or whatever it is. And so that seems like it's all the more reason to prove what you're talking about as like
Mm.
giving people pieces,
Building the
building
hype
hype.
before.
Yeah, because if anything, that first initial period, whatever it is
Mm.
what matters when someone gets boosted. I mean, Space
Yeah.
Jam, I'm looking at it now, it has like 366,000
Yeah.
streams. Like that's insane. And
Yeah.
did you say, is it getting on Discover Weekly and stuff too, you say?
Yeah. Like a lot of people will follow me on Instagram from Spotify and just be like, "Hey, your song was in my Discover Weekly." It's like such a like
Yeah.
just super nice people that I like don't even know they're from who knows where telling me like their song is in
Yes.
this Discover Weekly, and it's just crazy that because it's just crazy because when you think about a couple years ago when people were scared of streaming and Spotify, even I was with like how it
Hmm.
works for songwriters and stuff, but in the end like it really helps out if you do what you can to get your song off the ground,
Yeah,
like when you
right.
drop it, like it does a lot, like it's helped me so much.
Yeah.
So
Do you feel
yeah.
like for me, I've gotten a few of those with
Mm,
Wisteria from like
yeah.
Discover Weekly, and that like means so much to me in
Mm,
a different way, not like more or less, but like
yeah.
then when I'm touring or like through the
Yeah.
scene, like those people know me and my music and they come across this
Yeah.
experience. But when somebody's just like, I'm
They're
seeking
just
you out,
scrolling.
yeah, because your song just came up and it's so good that I'm gonna like tell you and like follow
Yeah.
you. That's like
That's
so
crazy.
affirming,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's
Yeah, it's just
insane.
it makes you feel like you're doing something right because you're just connecting with people solely
Yeah.
off of this song you've created.
Yeah. It's insane. It's such a good feeling just to like connect with some, because I had like I've had full blown conversations with people just off of one song, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's so crazy that you can connect with somebody like that. I had a question about Wisteria. I heard, so I wasn't around at the time. Was Wisteria a music festival like before Freeze Fest that you did with Arlie? Is
Um,
that what it was?
you're on the right track. So
Okay, I wasn't sure what.
it was not before Freeze Fest, but because I've been doing that since like high school. But it was like the
Yeah.
separate. I didn't know Arlie very well,
Mhm.
but I went to a house show right before they really like popped off, and I got to like see them play, and I met like Nathaniel, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden they told me about Wisteria, and they were like, yeah, we're like planning this.
Okay.
Basically, they were like, we think that how do I say this right? They were like most of it was something about cults and culture, and they were on some like weird kick where they were like most culture we think is kind of cultish, so we're going to do the inverse and like make something that feels like a cult, but we're actually just trying to create culture with our art. So when people
Okay.
got there, it was like this like pseudo cult, and everybody was like wearing purple, and they would like
Wow.
look at each other, and like all of a sudden everybody would be like, every moment is a new dawn, and they would like clap and like say these
Yeah.
phrases. And
That's crazy.
dude, it was insane. It was like on this
Yeah.
farm, and yeah, there was like this is all like inside of a barn, and there were people making some of the craziest music. There was a guy who had like a analog synthesizer he had built with a bike, so when he rode the bike faster it played higher
Oh
frequencies.
my god, that's insane.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Insane.
like all these like, oh, some of the just most crazy stuff. Yeah, there's a guy making music with putting electric toothbrushes into a pool. swimming pool. It was crazy. Anyway, yeah.
What?
So I wrote that song
That's insane.
after I got home from that about just like my experience there and
At the
like
cult.
yeah, at the cult, just like
Fun times at the cult.
driving to West Tennessee to like get to kind of like and it like I think I can't remember if I was still in school, but I remember it being like a time when I got to like just really enjoy myself and spend the night on a farm and like
Yeah.
yeah right. So
That's
yeah,
great.
that's true. I don't want to speak too much on what I don't know, but I think that there might be another Wisteria someday,
Okay.
when this all
In
clears.
the future,
I
post
know that
Rona.
Arlie is working on a new album and
Yeah. I'm
I
excited for that.
I am
The
too, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually, I wrote the title track for my album is Happy Birthday, and I wrote it with Nathaniel. It was like last summer.
no
It-
way.
yeah.
Dude, what? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I met him. So I was hanging out with this rapper, Lack Honey. I don't know
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. So they're like, so the guys that play in his band, Ben, Emmett, they play my band too. So we were just
Cool.
hanging out. It was summer. They were playing a bunch of shows, so I was just like hanging out with them while they were recording. And then Nathaniel was like hanging out, and he was over, and we just hung out. It was like 2 or 3 days where we just went to the studio and we're working on like his Lack Honey songs. And then I just wrote with Nathaniel like I can't remember how long after, but we started this song, and it just became like I've worked on it like since we like initially made it, but like it just became kind of like the anthem for like the theme or whatever. Because I had this chorus idea. Uh, I got this chorus idea at work. It was like this idea that you have like a relationship with someone, whether it's a friendship or like a romantic one, where there's a bunch of, you know, rubbing people the wrong way or turmoil inside of it, but their
Yeah.
birthday comes and you just decide to just push it all aside and just love them like nothing's wrong or whatever. So that was kind of the idea of the song, and he just helped me like,
How,
get it
dude?
out so well.
That's so cool. Oh man, I had no idea. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to hear
I'm
that.
excited about that one for
Yeah,
sure.
Nathaniel is one of my favorite like local art. Like I just think I
Yeah.
believe in Arlie so much.
Yeah.
They're so good.
The
I
writing is amazing. Like that EP, I listen to it all the time. It's crazy.
yes, man,
Yeah.
it is, and like production stuff too. Like
Yeah.
I've actually had the chance to. I've been going over to Nathaniel's house and we've been
Mhm.
writing some too, and I never done that until over this like period, and
Yeah.
it is a blessing on my life. Getting to
Yeah.
learn
Yeah.
from that from him. He is just a master, as are the
Yeah.
rest of the band. Just a really amazing group of people.
Yeah.
I wow,
They're
I
cool
cannot.
guys.
When is this song gonna drop? Dude, is there a timeline for the album, or are you just like when it's
Well,
ready?
I'm getting some of the songs mixed right now. So it's
Sweet.
we're getting there. I'm like really impartial about the not I feel like that's not the word impartial. I'm really like I'm like harboring on the visual part right now. Like I'm getting ready to make that transition into making the videos, the art and all that kind of stuff. So I really want to go hard on that stuff just
Wow.
because like
Oh
with not being able to tour or play shows, I feel like it's really important to do that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's like all. That's like everything now.
Yeah.
How often were you playing back like before COVID hit? Have you been playing a lot of shows? Is that something you really
Yeah.
enjoy doing?
Yeah. I actually started playing a lot more, especially at the beginning of the year because I was playing. So I went on a tour with Theo Candel. I was playing keys and key bass for him.
Theo
And I was doing,
Candel.
yeah, yeah, you should check him out. He's
I
from New
will.
York, but he went to Vandy. Um, and he's like
Is this
he's like in
him?
the scene. Yes, he's in the scene with Black Honey and uh
Cool.
Ben and all them, my band guys or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was playing for him, and we went all over. Like we went up the East Coast, went to New York, and then came back down.
Dude, what? That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. He's from New York, so we played at what was it called? Bowery Electric. It was insane.
Oh,
It
no
was
way.
insane. Yeah, it
That's like a
was it
dream.
was so fun. Yeah, I was like, he actually let me play Space Jam there. So shout out to him. It was
Dude,
super fun.
what?
Yeah, he
That's
let me play his song.
how long was that tour?
It was like I'm trying to maybe like 2 weeks. Two
Was that your
weeks.
first tour?
That was my first time going. Well, that wasn't my first tour. So I've done some house show tours that I just did myself. I did
Cool.
like a loop where I did Knoxville, Murfreesboro, Chattanooga. Um,
That's right. Did you do that with like India and Meg?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. The first one I did was like, so I did some shows with them, but it wasn't a tour. We
Cool.
just did like that basically got me in. So I playing with India and Meg, we like had a little audience in Knoxville, then had a little audience in Chattanooga, and then it was like, so when I could go back, I had people that knew who I was.
Yeah.
So then I kind of planned my own thing. And then I did a tour in February with Ali Burgess and Dominique. His
Oh,
pastor is his art.
yeah.
But yeah, we did Knoxville chat. I think we did Knoxville chat and then Johnson City.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
cool. Wait, Johnson
So
City. Whoa,
yeah,
I've only played there like once. That's cool.
yeah. I have some friends, Noah and Dylan. They live out there. Uh, yeah, they go to school out there. I think they might have moved recently, but we played. They lived in this frat house, or not a frat house. It was some kind of house where there's just a bunch of guys in it, and there's a ton of taxidermy all over the walls. And it was just this huge house, and we played in there. So,
Boom, we're back.
and we're back.
We're back after I wasn't sure what happened. Yeah, dude. Okay. Uh that was hilarious. You didn't catch it on recording, but Jarren asked Freeze, did you freeze? Which is that is awesome. That's couldn't be more appropriate. That's actually pretty good. We were talking about touring. You said you were playing at a frat house with a bunch of taxidermied animals.
Yeah,
Johnson City?
yeah. I'll have to ask them if it was a frat house or if it was like a Christian group. I really don't remember like what the group was, but there's just like an older guy there who's just like, he wasn't around the whole time, but he just had a bunch of guys in the house, and there's just
Yeah, right.
taxidermy all over the walls. There's like deer, birds, just everything, raccoons. We
That's
took a
crazy.
picture with one actually, and I posted it a while ago. But
Those
yeah,
are the kind of memories that you have on tour. It's like every night you're just like,
mm,
especially when you're doing a DIY, you're just like, I don't know how
yeah,
I ended up in this place with these people, but this is awesome.
yeah.
Do you, whenever things open back up, are you wanting to start doing more touring?
Yes, for sure.
That'd be sick.
I think for me, when I started playing outside of Nashville, that's when I was like, wow, because it was the first time people were going crazy at a show to see me
Right.
perform.
Oh yeah, for
Like,
sure.
because when you play in your hometown, it's like your friends pull up and they support you, and it's dope. But we're all musicians, and we do it like that's what we do. That's like our social life to go to shows. So it's just different to play for people that aren't going to a show every night because it's just so special.
Yeah, right.
It's just crazy. They sing a little louder, they jump a little higher,
Totally. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
always been curious if that's like a local, like, is it because I'm from Nashville, or is that
I don't
because it's
know.
just Nashville? Because Nashville's just, I don't know. I think it's hard to get people to move in Nashville. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you kind of cracked the code on that with Freeze Fest and especially Space Prom. Like
Hmm.
it creates those events that you do, it creates like a different vibe where it doesn't feel like a regular show. It feels more like an event. And I think it's funny because I started this thing called Boogie Bash. I don't know if you heard about that a
I
while
have. Yeah,
ago.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like I did that and basically modeled it after Freeze Fest because I saw what you were
Cool.
doing, but I was doing it with like R&B artists because I wanted to get into that scene, but I didn't really know many people. So I was
Right.
kind of like, I would scour through Instagram, find somebody I like, and DM them and be like, hey, I'm putting on Boogie Bash, like it's this thing, even though it wasn't really a thing yet or whatever.
Dude.
Uh,
Yes, exactly.
yeah. So I did that. I started doing them at the first one I did was at Douglas Corner, which just closed recently, which is kind of
Yeah,
sad.
right.
Uh, but I did my first one there, and it was just completely packed because it's kind of a small room. So,
Yes.
but like when there's 100 people in there, it looks crazy.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I started kind of building that up, and that was kind of me trying to, and that was like the first time when I was playing in Nashville where people were kind of more loose rather than me just being like, oh, I'm playing a show because it felt like an event.
Totally, dude. It
Yeah,
changes the dynamic. It really does. And
yeah,
I mean, I did. That's exactly. It's the same for me. Like with Freeze Fest,
mhm,
it was like I felt like I was finally able to like it like had this added value, like when you've
yeah,
created this festival and people recognize that and they're like, oh, there's going to be an event that
yeah,
someone's like putting effort into, you know, and I want to be a part of it. And then all of a
mhm,
sudden it is a thing. Like you just
yeah,
like it's going to be a thing, and then everybody else believes you too, and then it
Yeah.
all of a sudden it is, and then when people arrive with that extra expectation, it's
Mhm.
like they're ready to move. They're like, oh, this
Yeah.
is like a party, this is like a event, this isn't just
Yeah.
like I'm not just going to like the end to see my friends play. And for some
Yeah.
reason, like that does like allow people to dance a little bit more.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't really
That
know why.
element of like, I don't know. I guess it's kind of just like what we were talking about earlier with talking about your music before. Like, because when you talk about a festival, when you're promoting it, you're not just throwing up a post like, "Hey guys, I'm playing this show, come out." You're talking about all the people that you booked for this show. You're talking like you're gassing them up, talking about how much you love their music. So it's
Yeah,
like, and there's something for everybody when you go to something like that, where when it's like Freeze Fest and Space Prom. So it's like whether you're going just because you want to dress up and you have an excuse to look good and dance, or you really want to hear like somebody on the lineup, it's just a different atmosphere than just like, hey, I'm playing a show. It's kind of the same thing with album release shows, I think, because you kind of go
yeah,
there. It's more of a supportive thing because it's like, oh, you've been making this project or event for so long. It feels more special because it feels like there's more time into it, even though
yeah, right.
it might be the same energy you took into planning a regular show or a tour, but it's just kind of different. It's just
Yeah,
different how
right.
it looks.
Totally. And it
Yeah.
is like what you're saying about like hitting up people and getting them to play because you just
Yeah.
wanted to meet them. Like that's exactly it. Like
Yeah.
so often, like the way to like connect with people is like through things like that, like creating
Mhm.
moments that they can be a part of and you're a
Yeah.
part of because you planned it and then you play as well. And it's just
Yeah.
like through things like that, you really make real relationships with these
Facts.
people. And it's
Yeah.
just so
Like
special, you know?
it's such a hack, honestly.
Yeah.
If you want to meet somebody, just tell them you want to book them for a show instead of, because I think for me when I was trying to find people to record with after I was recording with my group at MTSU and didn't like the product of what I had, I kind of went on a phase where I was like, oh, maybe I'll find a producer or something. So I was like DMing people that I liked their work or whatever, and I was like, yo, I'm working on these songs. I would send them something and be like, yo, could you help me out, or like, help me like do this project or whatever, and then you'd get no response. But when I hit up these artists and give them, it's like you're giving them something rather than being like, hey, can you give me your time and effort to do something for me? It's kind of just like
Right.
the dynamic changes, and then especially when you meet someone
Yeah.
at a
Wow.
show, the vibe is so different because like instead of I hate the only thing I don't really like about quarantine right now is like if I wanted to hit somebody up that I'm interested in working in or something like that, I don't really have a great way of doing that, because if I'm just in your DMs like, yo, I'm trying to work with you, it's just like it's kind of off-putting, because even me, if somebody hits me up
Right.
like that, I'm working on my thing right now, and there's just kind of like the
Yeah.
ego that gets in front of it. But like if you're
Mhm.
offering someone to play a show, you see them perform, they see you perform, then you meet each other and it feels more organic. Then it's like, oh, like if the chemistry is there, you might work on something. So
Yeah, right.
yeah.
It's almost just like basic human
Yeah.
psychology and like instinct where it's like if somebody's just like, "Hey, can I have what you're doing?" Like if it feels
Yeah.
like somebody's just like, "I want to like ride your wave."
Yeah.
you're like, "Okay, like maybe, but I don't know who you are." And
Yeah.
you're just like a screen, you're just like a username.
Yeah,
But if
exactly.
somebody's like, "Hey, like I want you to be a part of this thing I'm doing because
Hmm.
I love what you're doing." And you understand it's like collaborative and mutually beneficial,
Yeah.
then you understand the generosity of it and you're like more willing to
Yeah.
accept it. And I think with shows especially that's like
It's the
uh,
quickest way to do it, I would say.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like things like there's there's a lot of things I feel like when you're doing it a DIY way that like help you and help others, and that's what makes
Mhm.
it so special. I mean, even like a podcast like this, like I'm
Yeah.
hoping to like bring exposure to what you're doing, but I also recognize that there's a lot of people who love what you do and
Mhm.
they will watch this. So it's like,
Yeah.
and it's
How
I
can you help each other out, you know?
yeah, and it's almost
Yeah.
a fine line because I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's kind of
How?
hard to like explain it or like because there are people who when you meet them or you've had experiences where you have felt like someone has like
Mhm.
maybe like crossed a line, not like in an offensive way, but they're like
Mhm.
you start being like, okay, this person doesn't actually feel like a friend. They feel like they're just
Yeah.
but most of the time I feel like everyone that you encounter, especially like in our scene, it's like you get that mutual respect and understanding
Mhm.
and appreciation for each other,
Yeah.
and that's so
Yeah.
special.
Yeah, I think with what you're saying, like sometimes it can feel like a business transaction, which makes sense just because some people, if their vision is for themselves is stronger than their openness to like collaborate, that can happen. Because that would happen with me too personally. Like when especially with the recording thing, like I only recently in the last couple of months have started to ask people in my band to contribute to the stuff I'm recording, because like I said, when I was recording at first I wasn't liking the product, and
Yeah.
because when I would record it didn't feel like it was me. It just felt like, like we were tight as a band when we would play live and it was super fun, but when I got the recordings back I was like, this isn't me. So when I went off for that summer and just stayed in my basement recording and figuring out like what I wanted to do, I did it primarily by myself. And then it was like, then it became like a baby thing where it was just
Hmm.
like, because the only people I had help on, so on Lead Me On, I had Keaton come in and help me. And he helped on some other tracks that didn't come out. And then I had AB Eastwood. I don't know if you might know him. He's like in the
Hmm.
hip hop scene. He's this producer. He's super dope guy. Um,
Cool. I'll write that down.
yeah, he's like super dope.
You know a lot of
Uh,
cool people. I need to meet a lot of people from you. Like
dude,
I feel like you could
yeah,
introduce me to so much good like local music.
for sure. Like I would love to, especially the hip hop scene. I'm just like now getting more hip to what's going on. Because I saw a lot of their stuff on Twitter. There's this rapper called his name's Brian Brown. He has this album called Journey. It's just
He's a local person.
yeah.
Brian
There's a lot
Brown.
of there's a lot of local rappers that I'm like just getting put onto. Um,
Cool.
and it's like super exciting, that scene.
Do you feel
But
like there's like a disconnect in the scene between like rap or most rap and
yeah,
like
I
maybe
think
other like indie
for
music?
sure. I think I don't think it's an intentional thing, because like I said, for me, when I like the first time I felt like I was a part of the scene, or like the free scene or whatever, was when I went to that show at the East Room like 2.5 years ago or something. And like when I met all these people, it was like I didn't really know anybody. So for the longest time I was like, oh, this is what Nashville is now to me. And then, years later, I found another scene and found another scene. So the funny thing about it is there's so many different pockets of Nashville and what's going on the underground,
Yeah.
because there's so much infrastructure for the country stuff
Yeah,
on Music
right.
Row. So it's like, that's if you don't dig, that's all you're gonna see. But if you dig down and find these independent artists that are doing stuff, it's kind of hard to see them cross paths. But like,
Right.
but if you had more rappers at Freeze Fest, then maybe it would come together or something like that. But
I
people
think that'd be
also
cool.
operate
Yeah.
differently. Yeah,
Right. Yeah,
because
well,
I don't, the venues that they play at, like, and a lot of people in these other scenes are more like, in some of the people in the pop scene have more management and more like business
yes.
deals. So it's like it becomes kind of this disconnect where maybe they like might look at us differently because we're not, we don't have a deal or something. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah, right. I think the older I get and the more I
Mhm.
realize that what I'm doing with Freeze Fest and like is just one like aspect of a massive thing going on.
Yeah.
Like there's even like with rock music, it's like
Yeah.
there's the bands who are like pitching the Lighting 100, like
Yeah.
who are like
All the time.
there's like the new Nashville crew, and then you go to like the East Side, and there's like a lot of people in their like older 20s who are like
Mhm.
making some crazy like cold lunch recordings, like all that like crazy just
Yeah.
like psychedelic music, and it's like I'm like wow, I just know a tiny fraction of what's going on,
Yeah.
and which is
It's
partly
saturated.
yeah, it's
It's
partly
good and bad.
yeah, I think so too. I think it feels like a pretty healthy thing in Nashville where I feel like you can keep meeting new people,
Mhm.
but also you'll like see somebody out and be like, yo, there's that person, like,
Yeah.
what's up? But it does, I think if I put too much like, it's kind of hard with something like Freeze Fest because I want to
Mhm.
be I want to meet everybody, but then I also
Mhm.
recognize I don't know, there's
You can't do everything,
yeah, you can't do everything. And I'm not
Yeah.
like a promoter. I think at the heart, like that's like a like
Mhm.
doing like with you doing Boogie Bash, it's like
Mhm.
that's like a piece of what you're doing, but ultimately it comes back to the music.
Yeah.
Like I'm more focused on the tours, and when Freeze Fest comes around, but like I would like to find ways to like I
To
don't
kind
know.
of be a beacon or
Yeah,
like
it'd be cool to tear down those
contribute in
walls.
some way. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's hard because, like I said, with the collaboration thing, like the easiest way to get the door into that is with a show, whether it's a one-off or a festival type thing. That's the
hmm
easiest way to meet somebody. Even if you just go to their show, that's the easiest way to meet someone. But when you're
that's so
meeting,
true.
for me, just finding all these people online, I don't necessarily have a great way of approaching them, whether it's like, because it just doesn't feel organic, I guess. But if
Yeah,
unless I had a song where I was like, I need you to be on this song, but just to like hang out or something like that, it just feels weird,
yeah,
you know?
right. Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you feel more like a fan when you just find somebody online than you do when you just like stumble on someone at a show or something and they're just like dope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And all the social media is just weird like that because
Yeah.
they intentionally like plug your numbers at the top, so it's this big just
Mhm.
clout chase that you can't even avoid. It's just
Yeah.
like how many people follow you and how many streams and
Yeah.
this and that. And it's just it's hard to like break through that and just like be like person to person with somebody,
Yeah.
especially when they might you're afraid that they might think that you're something and you perceive that they
Yeah.
perceive that. It's like this weird like back and forth
Yeah.
sometimes.
Have you seen that Black Mirror episode where they do something like that? It's like you walk around with the rating over your head, like it's like 5 stars or something, like
I haven't
Uber.
seen that one. No.
Yeah, it's I forget what it's called, but
Oh,
they walk around and like you take a cab and then the cab driver gives you a rating based on if you were cool or not. And yeah, it's just crazy.
that's
And
freaky,
you have to
dude.
get
That's
like five
freaky.
stars to live in certain places. It's just
Oh
crazy because
man.
it's like there's so much truth to that when you look at it from the spectrum of what music is.
Yeah.
Because, but I don't know. There's some elements that are in there and some elements that are not. Because there are a ton of people that I've met that have these huge followings that I probably wouldn't work with musically just because it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
But like,
Right.
the fact that there's some people that you probably could, but make something amazing with or do something, whether or just but there's just that barrier, so it's just weird.
Yeah, you're right, man. That is
Yeah.
weird. That's interesting. Do you feel like so talking about like future collaborations and stuff?
Mm.
Um, do you have any plans like beyond this album, or is that just your main focus is getting this album
Yeah.
done? And then do you have like a year plan or anything like any vision for
Yeah.
beyond
I
that?
have I'm working on a lot of music. So
Awesome.
I have like a bunch of new songs that I'm working on beyond. Like so I'm working on this project and trying to get it done now. So like I said, I'm starting the mixing process, but I have a bunch of other songs that
Sweet.
I've been writing and working on. With collaboration, I have so Emmett Hayden, he's he plays trumpet on a lot of the tracks on the album. A little bit of keys. Uh my buddy Ben Pleasant, he's my guitar player. He's been playing and helping me produce some stuff on the album. Uh, Gretchen, do you know Gretchen?
I don't know what's their
She's
last name?
I forget her last name's not. It's like not on her social.
Instagram.
I think it's McElwain or something.
Cool.
Uh,
I don't
but
think I do.
yeah, she's also a dope singer. I saw her. So the guy I told you about earlier, AB Eastwood, he did this show he did one of those 8 off 8th shows, and he was like the music director.
Yes,
And
totally.
I saw Gretchen perform there, and I was like, whoa, like she's dope. So I hit her up like later, and then we've written some songs together, and she's featured on one of my songs for the album,
Wow.
and she sounds so dope on it. It's so good.
That's
Trying
cool,
to think
man.
who else.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Oh, my friend, you've met India before, right?
In India, like,
India Cooper.
yes, I've met
Yeah,
India. Totally, we're
yeah,
friends. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So oh yeah, she's told me you guys go to what's that church called?
Ethos.
Yeah, she told me I'll go to Ethos together
Yeah,
sometime.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
but she's singing on a song. We recorded it for her vocals like forever ago. But yeah, she's on one of the songs, so
Wow,
I'm
she's
excited about that too.
amazing. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Dude, do you feel like okay, so like I'm about to put out a song
Mhm.
next week, and it's my first time putting out a song that's just like there's this group called And the Boys, and we're just putting it out like
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
together, but
Yeah.
not like one featuring the other. It's like literally just like the song's called like the Waiting on the Moment, and it's
Mhm.
by Nordista Freeze, comma, and The Voice, like on
Yeah.
Spotify. I've never done something like that before, but I'm excited because I feel like that it just feels fresh, and I feel like
Yeah.
with my perspective changing on music and like how you release it, it's just like I don't know. I think it's gonna be cool to like
To
just
have like a
have
collab track. That's what I was
yeah,
planning on doing with my stuff. It looks dope.
yeah, right. That's cool. I think that that's
Yeah.
like a cool way to like because I never even thought about that you could do that. I thought you either
Mm.
would have to like form a project with somebody or like feature them
Yeah.
on your work or vice versa. But it's
Yeah,
kind of
it
cool to
shows
just
up
be
on
like,
both
yeah,
of them. It's cool.
yeah. It's like we
Yeah.
made a song together. It's by both of
Yeah.
us. It's both of our
Yeah.
song. Like that. I feel like that might
We
be
made it
like the
together.
future. Yeah, it feels good, and I feel like
Yeah.
it kind of takes some pressure off because if people like don't vibe with it, then they're just like, well, you know, that they didn't vibe with it, and they're just like, well, that's just because it was like a collaborative thing. Like,
Yeah.
but
And it might lead
they
them to
might.
like your other so maybe the people that listen to them have never heard of you before and then they're like, "Oh, who's Freeze?" Then they
Yeah,
slide into 2 albums and all the singles you have. So,
it takes the pressure off. It's fun. It feels good.
yeah.
I'm stoked on the song, and also it's like in terms of what we were talking about earlier with like Space Jam and
Mhm.
Wisteria. I feel like it's like the more names on a song and the more people promoting it, that could only
Mhm.
help it just like get
Yeah,
boosted and like get
for
exposure,
sure.
which like in that game could be cool.
Yeah.
So in
Yeah,
terms of like music
collabs are
business,
dope. Yeah.
yeah, I think so too. So I'm excited about that. Are you beyond that like looking like far out? I guess it's like a final question. Are you just like
Oh, for my like for other projects in the
or
future?
just like I don't know what's like I know you probably don't have like a set in stone
Yeah.
vision or maybe you do but like just like 5-10 year whatever just like are you thinking you're gonna like
Yeah.
stay in town and just be like doing the music grind for life
Yeah,
is
for
this your dream?
yeah, this is definitely I think right now I've because I've been being an artist since I was, since I was in middle school. So
Yeah,
like this is kind of the vision right now. Like I'm also getting into producing more for other people, like and also writing for other people. I've done like a little bit of that. I co-wrote Little Mama with Allie like 2 years ago. So
oh
that's kind of
cool,
that's like
I didn't know
that's like the
that.
first thing that came out that was something that I was a part of with someone else's project. Um yeah, I think for me right now, putting out the songs that I'm working on is gonna kind of be a gateway into me possibly producing more for other people because I'm making a lot of stuff, and then I have like another
Cool.
project in mind that will come after because of all these new songs. But at least, at least right now, I'm just trying to stock up so that I can be less feel like I'm rushing to put out music and just be kind of sitting on stuff and just drop it, and then be more comfortable with that. In 5 years, I mean, arenas, let's go.
Yeah, straight up.
Hopefully, one day, I'm definitely trying to put in the work and build the foundation for that. But
Right,
yeah,
I think
it's
that's awesome, man. I definitely think
yeah.
you are like it's been apparent. Like I feel like every time I always when I
Thank you.
watch what you do online, I always just feel like you're always putting in a ton of hard work and just like
Thanks.
keeping it fresh. Like I said, I feel like you have just like one of the most fresh perspectives on like music
Thank
and
you, man.
social media that like inspires me to like mix it up and like keep rethinking it, like we
Yeah,
always have to do. So that's cool, man. I
yeah,
appreciate you coming on and talking to me a little bit. I love talking to you. I feel
yeah. It was
like I have
fun.
so much I can talk to you about. I
Yeah.
hope that well, I guess one question I do have is like, do we
Mm.
know when there's going to be the next drop? Is there any timeline, or is it just
Oh
when it's
yeah.
ready?
Like I said, I don't know the timeline exactly, just because
That's
I want to
cool.
get all the songs mixed and then do all the visual stuff and then put them out. So like,
I see.
it's not too far away. It's like
Cool.
put in my bio, music coming soon.
Yeah, right,
Like
right.
soon is like 3 years from now, but yeah, it's not that far off, basically.
Cool. Well,
Yeah,
whenever you get something, whenever you're ready to like promote the next song or something, maybe we can do this again and talk about it
yeah,
and
that'd be
talk
so
about some
dope.
more stuff. That
Yeah,
would be dope.
this was fun.
It has. It's been super fun. I
Yeah,
appreciate you hanging out.
no problem.
Yeah. Have a good day,
Yeah,
man.
you too, man.
Thank you.
See you.
Peace.